So, short translation. Ask for this opportunity. I haven't been given this opportunity from Lumpur Jalkun Sopon Bhavanavitet, Lumpur Kalyana. Then I'd just like to take this opportunity to speak to the monks, novices, and all the lay people who are gathered and listening this evening. We've all come here out of faith to study and practice the Buddha's teachings, and its purpose is to find a way beyond suffering. And this path is the Buddha's path. For those here wearing the yellow robes, and then we've come to this status because we realize that the life of a householder is not the ideal way to practice the Buddha's teaching. And so it can be done, but it's not the ideal. So we take this opportunity to wear the yellow robe and to take on the status of a monk or of a novice, so that we can apply ourselves to overcoming suffering, overcoming that suffering which exists in the heart, and which is central to all of life's problems. So, being here with this opportunity, we make up our minds to walk this path. It's for this reason that we've made the sacrifice that we've made to leave behind our relatives and family and take on the life of a monk. We have Lumpur Kalyano as an example of how to live that life and pointing the way of how to practice. So then may we all have faith and determination. Since we've found this rare opportunity, well, may we make up our mind to train in the Dhamma Vinaya. During the Rains retreat, we listened to all the explanations of the rules of Vinaya, and with that elaborate system of rules telling us those things from which we must abstain, then we realize that this is what makes our life different to lay life. Because in lay life, without that same level of restraint, then we in the past have done things which are not beautiful. So we adapt ourselves to live this life which is pure and beautiful. But that means not following our own desires, and that's something that's very difficult. Therefore, our faith needs to be very firm and very solid. I've been ordained as long as I've been a householder. I've been ordained since the age of 22. I saw that living as a layperson didn't seem to me in a satisfactory way to provide the way out of suffering. There are too many temptations and indulgences, too many things to make one lose mindfulness, and too easy to fall into relationships. And it just wasn't a life that's aimed at restraint, aimed at adapting our view and our way of thinking. So practicing as a monk, not only do we restrain ourselves from sensuality and sexual indulgence, but we cultivate the mind and the perceptions of the mind in asubha, so that we can see the unbeautiful where we previously seen things as beautiful. We're aiming to adjust our view so that we can see and understand things according to the truth. And the goal of this is to go beyond the effluence and the defilements of the heart. I've seen that all of you here are dedicated to developing Samadhi, and I say adamodana to that, because Samadhi is something that takes a lot of persistent effort. And so my simple aim with this short talk this evening is just to pass on some of my experience in that application of effort, cultivating Samadhi, and then using that Samadhi to overcome obstacles. It's this effort, it's this inner effort that gives us the staying power and enables us to stay in robes and keep living this life of one gone forth. We need to change the way that we look at the world, not to see things in the world as attractive, so that they don't have the power to pull us away. So it's important that we not just merely develop Samadhi and peaceful states of mind, but then we apply that mind in order to change our way of perception, change our way of understanding, and get rid of the cause for craving and the cause for wrong view, and to develop useful and wholesome states of mind, qualities, helpful qualities such as loving kindness. Also, at the same time, we need to adjust ourselves and to give up our preferences so that we can fulfill our responsibility towards society. It's not the case that we can simply spend all our time developing peaceful states of mind, but we have a responsibility towards the community as well. So it's because of this compassion and loving kindness towards all beings that the Buddha taught the Dhamma, having realized it for himself. But even the Buddha initially felt discouraged and thought that teaching worldly beings was something that might be beyond even him. Something that might be too difficult because minds of the worldly beings were so far away from the Dhamma. But the Buddha, in his kindness, contemplated on that and reflected on that. He reflected on the minds of the people in the world. And the thought came to him that there are 4 different types of people in the world, in just the same way that in the lakes and ponds there are 4 different types of lotus plants. There are those that have a lotus flower that has grown up out of the water, and as soon as it's touched by the sun, when it rises after the dawn, then that lotus flower will open and bloom. The second type, then the lotus is just about at the surface of the water, so that within a day or two it will push up through the surface, be struck by the sun, and it will blossom and bloom. Then the third type. This is maybe the majority of people who are growing up through the murky water from the depths, but with continual effort, sustained over a long time, will eventually reach the surface of the water, break through, and then see the sunlight and blossom and bloom just the same way. It's only the fourth type, which gets lost down in the murky water and eaten up by the creatures down there. And so the Buddha saw that some beings with effort might be able to practice the Dhamma and realize the same Dhamma that he had realized. And so it was through his loving kindness that he went to teach the Dhamma. In just the same way, I've lived with venerable teachers that have that same loving kindness and sense of compassion towards all beings, and who will cry tears of joy having realized the Dhamma, but also tears of compassion towards those beings, knowing that it's only the very, very smallest minority that will actually go across all the obstacles to achieve a state of mind that can see the Dhamma, not fall into any of the pitfalls, and then realize that true Dhamma. This takes a lot of effort over a long time. And our teachers really do genuinely wish for us to reach that goal. So for us to reach that goal, there's just one place for us to look, and that is our heart. We need to look at our heart directly. Having made the mind peaceful, that's when we need to keep our attention on the mind so that we can see arising and passing away. So we can see the arising of aramana, or mental objects, so that we can see those thoughts. This doesn't mean just to think, but this means to see those thoughts arising, leave them alone and let them pass away. We don't proliferate. So remember that the peaceful mind can be a source for madness, and people can get lost in all kinds of visions and strange thinking. But it's not our job to get caught up in thinking. It's our job, when the mind is peaceful, simply to see things arise and see those things pass away. So there's a lot of effort that goes into our practice beyond simply making the mind peaceful. But we need to practice for insight as well. We're watching the arising, we're watching the passing away. We have vipaka kamma. We've created the causes for all of these things to just keep on arising in our mind. It's not that we're doing it ourselves, but those causes are already there. And so we see thoughts just arising seemingly out of nowhere in the mind. But this is where we see impermanence. We see arising and ceasing right there. And that's what we're studying. This is called a vipassana, so that we've taken our practice from the level of just samatha, knowing the peace, to vipassana, using the peace for insight. So this is the way that the peaceful mind of samadhi can lead us to true peace, to putting to peace, putting to rest the defilements of mind. It is a treacherous path, and I admit that over the years, even in Wat Pah Pong, a monastery has been established for a long time. Many people have practiced there. Some people have gone crazy, because there are all kinds of experiences that arise in meditation. So we need to be on our guard. We need to be wise and clever. We need to focus on understanding the Dhamma of the Buddha and not get led astray. The Dhamma of the Buddha says that everything which arises also passes away, and we see that right in our own mind. We have to see it for ourselves, and we have to know it for ourselves. This is paccattāng. It's the knowledge that one needs to see and know for oneself. Therefore, I encourage you to make up your mind to practice, and that through your practice you'll attain to your wishes, and may you develop and increase in that attainment of Dhamma to an increasing level, and may it lead to happiness, may it lead to peacefulness, and may you be successful in this holy life and be liberated from all suffering. So this evening I'll leave you with just this much.